health is the most important value. Especially now, scientists and researchers around Europe have been looking for ideas how to transform healthcare. In EIT Health, we believe that innovations can enable breakthrough performance. But how can we build bridges and develop healthcare innovation together? EIT Health is the largest community of healthcare innovators backed by the European Union. We work across borders with leaders, scientists, medical doctors, authorities, market regulators and patients. This energetic community works to improve diagnostics, treatment of patients and well-being of citizens. However, there are still EU regions where innovators might need a bit more support. EIT Health InnoStars, the regional innovation cluster of EIT Health, is there to help. We focus on Hungary, Italy, Poland and Portugal, as well as regions in Central, Eastern and Southern Europe, where the overall pace of innovation is moderate. Thankfully, there are no borders for the progress. Through various programs, we support sustainable development of early-stage ideas and innovation projects. It's like with traveling. Innovators journey with different equipment. The proper toolkit is essential to succeed. We scout for the best teams, but then we provide them with education, acceleration, funding and networking. We are here to press the appropriate button and help talents hit the ground running. You can co-create the healthcare of the future with us. We invite go-getting innovators, universities, companies, startups and institutions. With EIT Health, innovation can flourish, no matter where the ideas come from. And we are sure, together we can shape the healthy future.
Hello, good morning. This is Ferenc Pongrácz speaking from Budapest, and we are very thrilled, excited about introducing and show you online, and we have some audience here in the room as well. A fantastic report that has been created together with our community, and I hope that you're going to enjoy the same way learning about this study as we enjoyed preparing it. This is going to be a very exciting, interesting event. It will be an interactive event, so I kindly invite everybody to participate. We will have a chat window, we will have a voting panel, so this is not just sharing information one side, but this is an opportunity for the community to be engaged. So please share your ideas, share your opinions, share your questions. We're definitely going to listen to that, and then we would like to work as a community as always here. As a great event for us, we need to have a special guest, and special guest is also needed because EIT Health is partially supported by the partners who are basically paying a membership fee, and a big portion of our support is coming from the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So we have a fantastic guest who is an expert of the topic as well, Márton Herceg. By the way, Herceg means in English prince, so that's a nice name. So I kindly invite Márton to give his keynote speech. Márton, please.
Thank you very much, and good morning from my side. My name is Márton, indeed. Probably not so much myself being special, but the EIT is. I'll hope to show you why. I know most of you are somewhat familiar with the EIT already, but probably it's good to recap on what we have achieved so far before you will see also this fantastic assessment being launched today. So the EIT has been deployed by the European Union to tackle a lot of societal challenges. You can see some of them listed here, ranging from climate change to digitalization, sustainable energy, raw materials, health sector being one of them, but also food supply chain, added value manufacturing, urban mobility, and most recently, culture and creativity as well. We also have yet another innovation community in the pipeline, which will be most likely set up following a decision of the EIT Governing Board after 2026. So all these communities, I think, making the EIT model very special. Why? Because although we have the headquarters here in Budapest, although we are an independent EU body, through the innovation communities, EIT Health being one of them, we have physical presence all over Europe, across the continent, within EU member states, but also, as you can see on the map, illustrated also in the neighboring regions as well. So with this strong physical presence, we have a model which enables us to basically, along a lot of common principles, still via operational autonomy, to deploy the innovation model we have, which also allows our innovation communities to basically customize to the needs of their sector. I mean, you can see the sectors are very, very different. I've put up this slide basically as a potential cliffhanger to the next discussion points you will see, because indeed the ecosystem maturity assessment brings a very valuable but probably a specific aspect to the EIT ecosystem itself, right? But if you look at the intervention model the EIT deploys, you see that probably the assessment you will be hearing today is very clearly linked to the overall EIT model. Of course, we try to provide with means, inputs, financial inputs first and foremost, but also the access to the partners. You deploy a lot of inputs in terms of hours into it to create the activities. And the outputs, the outcomes, what we want to achieve with is basically to achieve impact. And the impact we would like to achieve are economic, societal, and educational. To sum it up in a way, if you look at some of the examples on the slide here, you can see these are also something that you can customize to the specificities of an innovation community. So these are examples. Obviously, revenues of companies we are supporting, the jobs created are universal, regardless of the sectors. But also the jobs that potentially risk and sustain the true reskilling or true innovation, for example, intra or entrepreneurial skills as well, and basically the sustainability of the innovation ecosystems we are running. Of course, some of the societal impact you can also see here. One at the bottom is most specific, obviously, to EIT Health, but there are also other societal impact examples on renewable energy, on greenhouse gas emissions, or, for example, on food waste as well. Obviously, when it comes to the educational impact, entrepreneurial education, you can see we would like to achieve higher employment rate to reinforce the capacity of higher education and their innovation capacity as well. So in a nutshell, where are we now with this ecosystem? They're saying this is the largest innovation ecosystem in Europe, for sure. We have several thousand partners already. You know, the buzzword of the EIT is knowledge triangle. So we always show the knowledge triangle partners there, meaning research institutions, higher education institutions, and businesses. But we also know in sectors, for example, in health sector, you also need other type of stakeholders like local authorities, NGOs, also to be involved. You can see the numbers on the slide. So most importantly, so far, and when I say so far, that's end of 2021, because we are just about to validate the numbers for 2022 and the latest reports from our innovation communities. You can see here the achievements. I think it's pretty impressive. Through the over 70 hubs, this is not including the EIT Tourist hubs, by the way, we have managed already to support you can see here the numbers, 5,600 ventures. I think that's the number I wanted to single out, mostly linked to the assessment you will be hearing about today. But also these have raised over 6 billion euro. And I can already promise that in 2022, there is going to be a leap in this number. We have to validate, you know, EU institutions. Until it's validated, we're not allowed to show it. But I can promise that very, very soon, this number will be even more impressive. Few other flagship indicators you can see here. From the master and PhD programs, we have already over 4,600 graduates who have passed on EIT-labeled master and PhD courses. Last but not least, we are very proud that we already have a couple of unicorns, so companies that entered at early stage the EIT business creation and support pipeline. At this stage, we have 7 of them. You can notice 2 of them are actually coming from EIT Health. So, for example, the very first unicorn from Portugal. Interesting to note, both unicorns supported by EIT Health are very, very closely linked also to the digital sector and AI. I think this is also an added value for ecosystem there. I can see my time is up. I'm 5 seconds behind time, so thank you very much for your attention. I'm looking forward for the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Martin, for this amazing presentation. And also, I was very impressed by your voice. You know, it was really like a speaker, like a radio speaker. You told me that you are called, but I'm jealous for being called, you know, for such a nice voice. So coming back to the assessment, so this is a time that I will introduce you the key finding of the assessment. Before I do that, I just want to say that we have 2 fantastic colleagues here in the room. This is Zofia Meisser and Adi Hores. So they are the colleagues who actually made a key role of writing this material, and a little bit I helped them as well, putting together, but also there's a huge team, and I will tell in the end who are behind that. And Martin just asked me a question that he said that usually kind of consultants are doing this report. And I told him that, look, you know, this was on purpose that we did not ask consultants to do that, because this is something that our community put together. So that has been a development for the team. So the ones who worked on it, you know, has learned, has developed themselves, and this knowledge stays in the community. And it was an excellent team effort. So you will see that actually hundreds of people actively participated. And I believe this is just a first step. So obviously, you know, there are many things that we could do differently, we can improve, and so on and so on. But I think this is an amazing first step, you know, that the community is standing up and, you know, putting something together and putting the thoughts together. And that, you know, I don't want to say the conclusion in the beginning, but that's also a message, I would say. So let's talk about the report. Let's talk about the report. So, oops, yes, here we go. Yeah, there is some delay with the... Okay, cool. So, first of all, why do we do that? So, first of all, so as I mentioned, this is an exercise of strengthening the community. Obviously, we want to make an impact, right? So, EIT Health has very noble goals. We would like to improve the health of the citizens of Europe and beyond. We would like to have more sustainable healthcare system, and we would like to have more successful health economy for Europe. So these are the goals. But how do we do that? Obviously, we execute many programs, and Martin just mentioned that there is an impact model. Someone said the Kellogg's model as well, but I like much better the EIT impact model this way. So definitely there is a way that we want to measure the outcome of our activities. And we have many activities, and we selected one. This is the startup ecosystem that is supported by EIT Health. And the aim here was basically, let's see, how do we measure the success? But on the other side, what are the factors that are influencing that success? And why do we do that? Because we want to have better impacts, right? So this is not about, you know, just intellectual curiosity, but this is to make our job better. So let's talk about, you know, why do we do another report? So you can find dozens of ecosystem reports if you go to the internet with very good methodologies, with big institutes doing them. So why did we choose to make our own? First, I think I already mentioned that this is something that is improving the community. But on the other side, I think it's also a good example that you can see here that there is, let's say, two ways to approach sport. One way is that I'm sitting in front of the TV, drinking beer, watching football, and have a big opinion about that, you know. And you might have a tremendous knowledge, you know, of theoretical knowledge about sport, but it does not really improve your health. So you will see two fantastic colleagues later on. We have Adi Barel. Where is Adi? Okay, anyway, so you will see she's in a great form. And you know, I believe her that she's doing sport, not talking about sport, but she's doing sport, right? The same thing, we have Jorge Pimenta. We just talked yesterday that he's running a marathon. So, you know, this guy knows something. So for them, these people, you know, are absolutely role models. And we want to behave the same way. So we don't want to talk about sport, but we want to do sport, and during doing the sport, you know, we want to learn and improve our knowledge about that as well. And a little bit like that with our study. So on purpose, we focus on the activities that we can control and what we can measure. So we don't want to give ideas or suggestions to people who are doing things, you know, and what we cannot control. So we don't want to be the kibitz, you know, or the football supporters, you know, suggesting ideas. But we want to understand that what are the items that we can control, influence, and how can we do that, and how do we measure our success. So that's why we made a specific report. However, I think doing that might help people outside our community as well, because they can see, you know, what did we learn, they can see the methods we do, and I believe that that might be an example, bad or good, but at least something to think about for other people as well. Good. So, a couple of words about the scope and the universe of the report. So we did this report in 10 + 1 countries. So the 10 countries are starting from the north, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovenia, Portugal, and Italy. And I hope I haven't left out anybody. And we have a benchmark country, which is Israel. I'm going to talk about that later, but basically, if we want to make a kind of assessment of the maturity of certain ecosystems, Israel is no doubt, you know, is a mature kind of world-class ecosystem. So I think if we want to compare, you know, where do we want to go or what is a kind of best practice, then Israel is definitely a good example for that. It's also important to measure that this is not about ranking. This is a maturity assessment. So maturity means that where are we in the road? So, you know, somebody who is young, talented, might have a much bigger potential than somebody who is kind of more mature, but let's say less hardworking. So this is nothing about ranking. And by the way, the aim is not here to make a ranking. The aim here is to help everybody that in the point where they are in the journey, what are the steps that help the most, and how can we help from each other. Also, this is not assessing the country ecosystems or the environment. This is basically about how the countries benefited from all the good things that EIT has, programs are offering for startups. So if somebody has a lower impact at this point, it doesn't mean that this country has a weaker ecosystem. It means that they did not use the potential they have in this specific field of participating in programs. And we want to help everybody that how to help in that. Good. So how did we do it again? So this is startups. So basically we measured results of startups, measurable results, using many KPIs that EIT anyway is using generally. So these are the kind of hard indicators. And you will see these indicators later, but this is valuation. So what is the market value of the startups, how much investment they got, how much grants they managed to attract, do they have a product on the market already or not? And finally, but importantly, an employment factor. So how many people they employ. So these are the measurable outcomes. And then we measured some soft indicators. So we said that, okay, what are the typical behavior patterns of an ecosystem? How people collaborate? What is the knowledge in the community? What is the access? Here, the measurement is not about measurable environmental factors. So there are many, many studies which are measuring the environment. So they say, okay, how many, you know, educated people you have, you know, what is the proportion of women who has a higher education, things like that. In my view, these are environmental factors. Here, we did not measure that. What we measured is that what is the typical behavior of those community who is participating in our programs. Why? Because we believe that this is something we can influence directly. Good. So going ahead, just some very nice numbers, and actually Martin has had a comment that I have to comment here. So altogether, we measured 215 startups. These are the ones that lately, in the last couple of years, participated in EIT Health programs in our region, in these 10 countries. So they are much more, as you saw. But this is the ones that our programs are covering. The valuation of the startups that are included in the study is 400 million euros. Now you heard that there is a unicorn in this region, which is Sword Health. Their market value is actually 1.4 billion. So we excluded them from the report because otherwise, we couldn't see anything because there would have been a big chart, and the rest is altogether doesn't make it up, so it would not have statistical analysis. But we have to say that, yes, there is a unicorn in the region. We are very proud of them, and this is in Portugal. So the Portuguese numbers are without the unicorn. Otherwise, it would have been even better. Also, you can see the figures here. So 1.6 thousand people employed, and these are well-paid, kind of high-level jobs. So I think that's a big thing, and so on and so on. So I think this is substantial. So I think this is a sample that makes sense. A maturity model. So I don't want to go to the details, but basically there is a model where you have different steps of the maturity. And thanks for Monika Rozalska from AWS, Amazon Web Services. So she's a big ecosystem expert, and she put together this model, and we used that model. And the way we used it, that we asked people, where do you think you are in this journey, basically? And as I said, we used interviews, and we used questionnaires. Something like more than 200 people answered our questionnaires, and we made 40 deep interviews. Actually, Adi Horesh did all the interviews, so congratulations. That was an exercise, I would say. And as I mentioned already, we used Israel as a benchmark, and actually the Israeli hub has played a key role in the idea of making a report and actually executing the report as well. And you can see some very impressive numbers, so I think this is not the time to explain why Israel is a world-class ecosystem. Everybody knows that. Good, so what are the findings? So we had a kind of scoring, adding up, that what is the kind of result in terms of measurable results, and also what is the result in terms of this perceived maturity. What you can see that these things are relatively close to each other. So there is a strong relationship, if you can see that. And also there is a strong relationship, actually something like 90% correlation between the respondent number and the measurable results. So where the ecosystem is more active, with other words, where the people took the time and answered our questions, that was a very strong indication and prediction how the ecosystem is working. By the way, congratulations to Romania, because we got the most responses from Romania. And also you can see that where we had more responses, where the system is more active, more or less people has very good view on where they are in the maturity model as well. So there is a kind of good picture about our position. And where we had less responses, the performance of the startups is lower, but also there is a kind of mismatch between the perceived and the measured performance. And we had a very nice map. And by the way, this is the point that I would like to highlight, that there is a fantastic microsite for this study. So if somebody wants to go to the details, that there is an opportunity to really see the analysis. We have a country report, as you can see here. You can make benchmark, you can compare countries, you can read success stories, you can read quotes. So that's really a kind of nice summary of what the community said about these things. And finally, let's talk about the conclusions. So what is very interesting, we thought that, but I think with the study we managed to prove that basically the higher collaboration level is resulting or goes in hand with better quantitative outcomes as well. And why is it interesting? Because we can measure the hard indicators, but it's very difficult to influence them. But on the other side, we can invest in community building, so we can influence very well the soft factors. And I think this report showed as well, like many other studies, that if we manage to improve the community, the soft factors, the way people are working together, then we can expect better hard outcomes as well. So I think that's the kind of main message. And finally, we want to invite you to work together. So we are a community of innovators, as you heard. And it's very good to join to this community. There are many ways to join that. You can be a member, you can participate in programs, you can make challenges as a corporate. And it's much better to be in a trusted community. So doing things alone, doing science alone, doing sport alone, doing whatever alone is much more difficult than doing it in a great community. So simply, we are inviting you. I hope you will feel that this is a vibrant and professional community. So I think it's really definitely worth to belong to that. And finally, I want to say again a big thanks for the team who kind of directly contributed to the report, but also all the ones who are here. I heard that more than 200 people actually are following us online, and as you heard, more than 250 people participated with contributing their opinion to this study. So thank you very much, and we're going to continue with a panel discussion. So I would like to kindly ask the first panel to come to the stage. And yes, so that's the next step.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Adi Barel, and I am the head of the global outreach of the EIT. We are here from Budapest. I wish you could feel the energy in that room. We have very high energy. And I also wanted to reach out and ask you guys on the chat, online, please respond, please be active. We want to hear your thoughts. This is why we do that. So today we have a very, very strong panel here. People actually came all the way from places in Europe. We have Romania, we have Italy, and we have Hungary here. And I'm very excited to talk about the importance of collaboration in the ecosystem based on the report that we just saw. So I wanted to introduce the panelists. We have here Ion Georgi Petrovai, representing FreshBlood. FreshBlood is an innovation hub supporting ideas, people, and projects in the healthcare world, bringing together IT, ideas, and other startup from early stage. We have Alessandro Monterosso. Alessandro is the former CEO of Patch AI, a startup, also an alumni startup of a lot of EIT Health initiative that was just purchased, not so recently, by Alira Health. And today, Alessandro is leading the digital health solution in Alira Health, which represents the global industry also based in Italy. And we have Marton Hertek, which you met already. Marton is representing the Innovation Ecosystem Unit at EIT, working both horizontal on the different pillars of EIT, education, innovation, and business creation, but also working on the different domains, cross domains, or as we say, cross-kick, with all the different EIT initiatives, supporting ecosystem initiative and supporting not only startup, but partners to grow and develop the ecosystem in Europe. So thank you everyone for joining us. We are very excited to kick off this panel. And I want to ask, the first question is actually to all of you, and pick one that is going to start today. I wanted to ask you about how do you see your role in developing your ecosystem? So.
Wants to take it?
I will start. When Fresh Blood was founded, something like 7 years ago, it was funded from a need, like any startup should be founded. And the need was that the IT people, we have a lot of good IT people in Transylvania, and the doctors, we have a lot of good doctors in Transylvania and now all over Europe from Romania, do not meet, do not have a place to meet and to collaborate to solve healthcare problems. And the vision behind Fresh Blood was to build a table, let's say a virtual table, but something that can bring the people together in order to collaborate. And this has been our mantra, and as you said, Adi, we are starting from ideas, because people would come to you with an idea, or sometimes in healthcare with a frustration, but then you need to find the people that are motivated to transform this idea in a project, and maybe see a partnership developing. And we think that's very important to ensure the collaboration and constant understanding of the challenges that everybody has in their job or their mission.
Thank you. So we are talking about the role of bringing ideas together, about connecting between the right players in the ecosystem to foster more innovation and growth. Thank you. Alessandro, did you?
Yeah, on my side, I think I try to contribute from two perspectives. The perspectives to the innovation. From one side, from the entrepreneurial side, and as Jon said, you find an idea, you validate it based on a need, and then you go to the market. And that path led Patch AI, my previous startup, to the acquisition from a global player in the market. Right now, with the global player, we are trying to foster innovation, trying to reply the same question. So supporting companies to actually manage and target as best as possible the need on why innovations such as digital health, in my case, shall be adopted. And we try to put together different stakeholders, from patients, the healthcare professionals, pharma companies, and other players in order to solve those problems.
Thank you. So you basically were on one side of the chart, and now moving to the other one, supporting startups like you in their journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very important, interesting role. And Martin.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, of course, you have heard already a few elements in my intro speech. I think, of course, I can only speak for the EIT as a whole and as a community as a whole. And if you look back at the history of EIT, the idea came in 2008. It was a similar situation in a way in times of economic turmoil when the EU decided actually to build up the EIT as an instrument, a policy instrument, to basically enable Europe to innovate better. I think everything you have heard just now from the fellow members in the panel, I think, are in the DNA of the EIT now. And if I look back, of course, now we have a very mature ecosystem in parts, because we already have innovation communities that have been there for almost 15 years now. But we also constantly set up new innovation communities. So there is one which is being set up right as we speak now. But still, it's already probably a tested and proven model. I think I would just repeat the point I made. I think this strong decentralized model, on-the-ground presence of the EIT is something that is extremely important for Europe to maintain and further strengthen.
Thank you. So we are talking about kind of like a top-down approach to support and grow ecosystems. So we see we have players from all kind of organizations supporting the ecosystem and have a different role, each one of you. And my next question will be, actually, Alessandro, Reading and hearing the index report and hearing the presentation just now, we see that Italy is very strong in network. We got very good positive responses on network and less strong in other fields. And how did you feel seeing this maturity assessment of Italy? I will ask you also like as an entrepreneur, but also as a...
Okay, thank you very much. No, I actually I agree with the level of maturity, especially in the networking. Beyond being Italian and do good networking, also in healthcare we do that very well. It's also true that there are still challenges. For example, the dishomogeneity into the healthcare system at the regional and local level, which is not just the complex regulatory oversight, but also the technological point of view. This brings a lot of challenges when trying to put together on the same table different stakeholders between startups, companies, and the patient themselves. On our side, we try to use technology not for the sake of using the technology itself, but as a mean to reach bigger objectives. So as not as a commodity, but as a tool in order to satisfy certain needs. And that's why what we do, we try to meet the needs of the different stakeholders, putting together and try to do as much network as we can. Indeed, we put at the same table the research institutions, the startups, the patients, the healthcare professionals, and the pharma companies, all together to try to do a win-win strategy for all the stakeholders and reach a final solution that is successful. And most of the times we have seen with our partners that the reasons of failures is actually not the tool itself, can be the best solution technologically wise, but is the, let's say, go-to-market, so the more entrepreneurial side of it that sometimes is failing, or the first couple of steps, such as the need, the unmet need, so the product is going to reply to a certain unmet need. Sometimes these questions are a bit lacking or not very targeted, and this brings then most of the problems when trying to implement the solutions.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. So Ian, reading your country's assessment, Romania, we see you guys are very strong in know-how. Also network is there in a high rank. How do you feel about the assessment and about, are you related to it? Do you feel like it's on?
I would like to start first just by commenting the evaluation for Italy, because as a proof of how Italians are strong in networking, it was Alessandro that reached out to me 5 or 6 years ago in Cluj-Napoca on the application of the conference, and we had a relevant discussion that was very impressive to have at the time. I was on a learning curve and he was on a learning curve, but it was very pleasant to see then the guy that reached out to me win a funding, win a competition, and grow their startup. So congrats once again in a public way for what you did. And we are very happy that you are connected with Cluj-Napoca. This is why we are also willing to grow in terms of networking ourselves. On the know-how, we feel that based on my initial contacts with the ecosystem, I'm very happy that Romania is on the map, because in 2017, when I first joined the EIT Health as a private person, Romania was terra incognita, there was white. At the time, and I had the chance to talk with the people from the next panel, the two Georges, and they says, yeah, something is happening in Romania, and I'm very happy that first of all something that is visible is happening from Romania, and also that there is an opportunity to provide value based on the experience of the people from our ecosystem, because Romania might not be known for the let's say for the products, but we have incredible tech people. And if you look around in different development centers, you will see people that work on top solutions globally that are not very visible from outside. But of course, we are active in the ecosystem, and we are actively searching for the people that have top-notch know-how. And this is, of course, only one of the things that you need to build on, but it's very important to know your strengths and to capitalize on this. I do believe that the report is capturing a good perspective in terms of strengths, but also in terms of weaknesses, let's say improvement opportunities. And I'm very happy to have Romania on the map of healthcare innovation, especially because on the European level map, Romania is among the modest innovators, which means it's the last. Let's be honest, it's the last place. But in healthcare innovation, now we see that Romania is catching up and aspiring to grow fast. And we are ambitious, and we are very happy to be collaborating with everybody in the ecosystem, not nationally, but Eastern European, also European and global.
Thank you very much. So what I'm hearing now is that the EIT is not just only giving the platform to develop your own ecosystem, but also to develop collaboration between ecosystems, which actually like foster innovation in a better way, putting the weakness and the strengths of each ecosystem in complement to other ecosystem. So Martin, I would like to ask you, how do you see this ecosystem involved in the next few years?
Well, good question. Thank you very much. Obviously, the EIT is bound to several policy cycles of the European Union. You know very well that the EU operates under 7-year multi-annual frameworks, also for research and innovation and for the budget. So to this end, for the EIT, obviously a key challenge is to go through these policy cycles in a very successful manner. Meaning, you know, closing the ex-post assessments for the EIT performance in Horizon 2020, the midterm evaluation under Horizon Europe, and you name them. And I think a key aspect is definitely for all of us, the EIT community, is to step up with our efforts in terms of disseminating our results. I still see very, very often extremely good results, successful companies, entrepreneurs emerging from the EIT community, where sometimes probably the connotation or the link nexus to the EIT community is missing. And that's super important for us, you know, to basically make ourselves heard and seen by the member states, by the authorities, European stakeholders, and you name them. Obviously, we have a lot of challenges also linked to these aspects. But I think all in all, you know, if we are stepping up with these efforts, hopefully we'll be able to roll out new innovation communities, to continue with increased budget also after 2027, and probably solidify our mandate. And of course, the EIT model has been improving over time. I'm sure we'll always identify potential further improvements in the model too.
Thank you. So I heard we have to celebrate success stories. We have to do more economic PR to attract more stakeholders to the ecosystem. So this is where we are heading. Also, I think this report is kind of in that direction. We don't have a lot of time, even though it's a very fascinating panel. So I wanted to take some questions from the audience. So the first question will be, maybe I will refer it to Ion and Alessandro. Where is the bottleneck for a startup in your region? Like, how is the journey? Where does it stop? Where is it like hard to find the next stage for them?
Well, healthcare innovation, it's complicated. It takes quite some time. So I could not say one bottleneck, but if I would reframe it, what would I like to have in order to help the Romanian startups or the innovators in our ecosystem grow faster would be two things. Access to, let's say, more support from the administration and the government. And that would be, has been pinpointed in our evaluation for Romania, that there could be more support and long-term planning. Also, we would like to have access to smart money, second thing, and partnership with major healthcare players, which is also very much connected with the government support and focus. And it's EIT Health has been very helpful, even helping us define the reality. Our local capacity building, which is called Hub Vantage, has this objective of reaching out the stakeholders and putting them in contact with startups in order to provide the reality behind the myths. There is a lot of mythology in healthcare innovation, and it's important that people have, like in medicine, a fast diagnosis. So to sum up, we are building some steps in this direction, aligning stakeholders, but we would like to have a little bit more government support, a little bit more smart money, and a little bit more collaboration with healthcare, major healthcare stakeholders.
I hope the audience hear that, and you can LinkedIn. Alessandro, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I'm going to be very, very concise because we're running out of time. So from the entrepreneurial standpoint, I think that in our region, one of the bottlenecks among the others is regulatory, because whereas in any other field, from go-to-market to marketing to any other topic, you can find creative ideas to try to tackle problems. Regulatory is just there. You need to face it, break your head to the wall, and just comply. So one of the bottlenecks that would create problems if you don't are ready since day zero to regulatory is compliance. As director of digital solution at EIT Health, I will say that the bottlenecks is to actually try to understand where our stakeholders, our clients are in the healthcare journey, in the digital healthcare journey, to find the right solution to the right problem to bring to the market.
Thank you very much. I personally have a lot of questions to you guys, and I see also the audience have a lot of questions, but we don't have time. So thank you very much for the panel today. Super interesting. And feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, and we also shared some links on the chat, Fresh Blood link and others. So thank you. And moving on to the next panel. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So thank you very much for the exciting discussion, and the next panel is just coming. Excellent. So here is the second panel, and I would like to welcome our panelists. So we have two panelists here in the studio or on the location, if you like. Jorge Pimenta, Innovation Director of Instituto Pedro Nunes in Portugal. Sorry about the pronunciation, but you will say it properly later on. And the famous Jorge Figueira, who is our ecosystem hero, but he also has a title of Pedagogical Innovation and Research and Development International Network Offices Coordinator, University of Coimbra, Portugal. And I will ask everybody to repeat that after me like that. And I'm just asking if we have the other two panelists online here with us. So we have Lehel Ferenci, Director of Data and Analytics in GE Healthcare, and Bartek Grobelski, President of Technology Transfer at Medical University of Łódź from Poland. And I can see Lehel. It will be a little bit challenging for me because I can see him like this, but hopefully I can now it's much better. So hopefully I can hear the voice as well. So Lehel, just please give us some sign of life if we can hear you and see you. Yes, life of sign is there, the voice not. So the picture is here, but the voice is not. So Lehel, maybe you can say one more word to us.
I'm Lehel Ferenc from GE Health. Can you hear me now?
Fantastic. Go for GE Health, absolutely. And we can see Bartek there with a fantastic background. I don't know if it is a boat or something like that, but he looks like Captain Perro or something like that. So, cześć Bartek.
Hi there. Greetings from Łódź.
And greetings to Łódź and greetings from Budapest. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and let's start the discussion. So the first thing I would like to kindly ask the panelists is simply a short introduction. That what do you do, what your organization does, and let me tell everybody that only the superheroes are invited here. So based on the study, all the organizations have something special to say, so everybody is a kind of role model. So I would start with Lehel and continue with Bartek later on. So Lehel, please.
Thank you. So thank you for the introduction. My name is Lehel Ferenc. As you mentioned, I'm leading the data science as a director in data science activities in Hungary, and I also am managing director for GE Healthcare in Hungary. And a few words about GE Healthcare. As you know, it's a large industrial partner. It's a leading company in the medical technology, pharmaceutical diagnostic, digital solutions, and practically we can say that we are a transition from last year it was a spin-off for the larger GE, and now GE Healthcare as a standalone company appears in the market. That's about GE very shortly.
Thank you very much. Bartek?
My origin is tech transfer, and our organization, Medical University of Łódź, joined EIT Health after basing collaboration with industry on IP, intellectual property. When we had set enough of patents in 2010, we started to sell them. And thanks to licensing, we start cooperation. Thanks to it, we find some new friends. And after 6 years, we found that there are people around us who would like to do something more, not only to be a laboratory worker or a scientist. And for those, EIT Health give us opportunity to help to grow their ideas into startups even. So I'm very thankful for invitation, and I'm very glad to have that report because it is showing that we are going right direction, but there is much more to do.
Thank you very much, and thank you for both of you for mentioning EIT Health. Please continue this habit. And now George Figueira is the next one. So George, please tell us something about yourself. I think everybody knows you, but still.
Oh, come on. Yeah, so thank you for the invitation, and thank you for being here with you in Budapest. That's great, and welcome everybody here online, Bartolomeu, Lehel. So my name is George Figueira. I'm from the University of Coimbra. I was managing the tech transfer office at the University of Coimbra, just like Bartolomeu is doing in Łódź. And I was back then consolidating the innovation ecosystem in Coimbra. So we created our own model. So I'm glad I'm here discussing this because it really is exciting. It has to do with what we develop and we are developing. And of course, in Coimbra, there are many pieces already of the ecosystem. So I was just trying to, with the help from the partners in Coimbra, to align a common strategy for the ecosystem, and that was great. So now I'm no longer at the tech transfer office. I'm in the R&D international networks and the pedagogical innovation as well. And yeah, so at the University of Coimbra, and I'm glad to be here. And we are in EIT Health and with InnoStars since the first day. So thank you for having us here.
Thank you very much as well. And George, please talk about yourself and about IPN.
So thank you very much, and thanks for the invitation. It's a huge pleasure to be part of the EIT Health, and of course being part of this assessment of the healthcare innovation ecosystem. As George Figueira, the famous one, just mentioned in Coimbra, I think we have a very interesting model where everything is aligned. It started, of course, with the university. The university was founded in 1290, so it's a very old university, and IPN was only created 30 years ago. in 1991. And IPN is an institution that focuses on innovation, mainly applied R&D, with companies and for companies. So that's what we do. We are on the technical side. And then 27 years ago, we started the incubator. And currently, the incubator, of course, is a famous, let's say, a very proud incubator of all the companies that are there. Of course, in healthcare, we also have a strong focus.
You are top 5 in the world, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
don't be modest. This is not the place for that.
He's the famous one, not me.
No, the startups are. We have to understand who we are working for, and of course, IPN, the incubator, is entrepreneur-centric. We are very focused on entrepreneurs. But within the healthcare, we understand that this is a complex sector, and you have to be focusing on the patient, the entrepreneur, and the system, as has been already discussed. So this is what we do, a mix between, let's say, technical, business, and regulation. So it's a very interesting place to be.
Thank you very much. And as I said, this is not a place for being modest here. So the reason that you are invited to discussion is that as we did this study, your names or your organization names were quite frequently mentioned in a positive context. So again, continuing with Lehel, please talk a little bit about, GE Healthcare, what you are proud of, why do you think that people are looking you as a role model?
You're muted, Lehel.
Thank you. Sorry, I put myself on mute. So
I think you are already working the mind reading machine as well, right?
Okay. Thank you. So GE Healthcare, maybe many of you know that we met in person, in fact, with many of the partners I'm seeing today. So GE Healthcare is core partner at the EIT Health since 2016. And as a core partner, we participate in many actions, as I know, around 50 joint activities with the EIT Health. And obviously the goal was to partner together and to foster European healthcare transformation and involvement of the European citizens and to get closer the technology, the science and innovation to our partners as a large company in Europe. We share also common goals with the EIT Health. We want to accelerate the digital transformation in healthcare, how we can bring the IT and the clinical expertise and to drive the innovation in healthcare in this dimension. And thanks to that, we have very good, elaborated very good partnerships Europe-wide. And we have started to collaborate with the EIT centers across. We have projects where we collaborate with around dozen of partners as well, and we had successful projects. And also, for example, we supported many large activities, and I want to just highlight the Hello AI activity in which personally I took part in the first event. This is ongoing since 5 years. It's can claim that we can access around 2,600 participants from 70 countries and like 85 plus topmost speakers involved across industry-wide and academic-wide. And we had around 25 live events, and there is a growing significant community behind this. The second large topic what I like to mention is the Health Venture Lab. This is also going since like 5 years. We reached to around 100 plus startups during this program, representing more than 20 countries in Europe. And for example, even personally, Jon Patro, I mentioned that in Romania, the startups and the climate, I'm proud that I was helping one of the startups doing such a program from Timișoara, from Temeswar in Hungary. And I see, if I remember them, Six Vision, they were very successful, and I heard that they're making good progress. So just a few with some real example. And one of, not the last, but I would like to mention the Europe Catalyst program, which is a unique training program, a methodology, and we identified the most innovative, impactful solution. What are the unmet medical and healthcare needs, and we try to train the teams who are participating and supporting them in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really an impressive list. And I would like just to repeat and highlight again the Hello AI program, which is open at the moment. And this is something where you can not only read, in Facebook about artificial intelligence and the kind of, general things, but you can really dive in with world-class experts like, for instance, Lehel, who is really, one of the people in the world who knows the most how to use AI in imaging or in healthcare. So I highly encourage everybody to enroll and learn about that program. It's definitely something that creates a future, and you can be part of that. So Bartek, please tell us, why Łódź became very famous now because of innovation. What is the secret sauce there?
The question is giving an answer that is not true, because I do not believe that Łódź is famous. We are proud that we have, thanks to being part of EIT, opened people's eyes for new way of life, because startups is a new way of life. And thanks to us, they started to think about it, and they are trying every day. When we look into the report, we can see that our maturity level is only 3 experimenter. We can be successful in taking part in programs and operate and preparing them, like Startup Lab that we started 5 years ago, and until now we are doing it even after the financing stopped. We are making training and giving knowledge how to start your own company. But we do not have many successes in receiving external funds. So we still need to work harder to learn people how to get the idea more available for industry, more commercialized. Thanks to it, they will successfully do their own companies. So maybe something that is important from Europe point of view is the program Scientifics for Industry, in which we are collaborating with many countries, starting Hungary, ending in Germany. Thanks to it, people can teach themselves how to become more interesting for industry after being scientists. So, of course, we are taking part in huge programs. We are doing small programs, but we are proud that we proposing and showing the way, but we are not still successful.
Thank you very much. And let's move to the colleagues from Coimbra. So actually, I think Coimbra is the only geographical location where we have 2 invitees in this panel, and this is obviously not by mistake. We already heard that IPN is one of the highest ranked university incubators globally, actually. And it has been established by the University of Coimbra. And also there is a very interesting collaboration there with, let's say, Science Park. And also there is a leading hospital in the city. And for those who haven't been to Coimbra yet, which I highly recommend to do so, this is something like 150,000 people regional center or cities. So this is a city which is kind of typical in Europe. So, there are many kind of regional centers like that. And people who are living in cities, and I'm coming from a city like that myself as well, which is a kind of similar size, it's a challenge to be on the European map. So please let us know, what was the work, what is behind your success to have such an impact. And actually, please talk about the impacts as well. So I know that you've got, unicorns coming, you are ranked highly. So please talk about, the activity, and also, that what is the work behind that, what we can learn from you.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. Thanks for that. But it's a marathon, right? We were discussing that. And for that, we have to thank first the university, because it all starts with the know-how, the knowledge. Without this, no ecosystem can be built. But in the end, we are discussing business, okay? So this is where I think sometimes within this chain, something is lacking. When you look at the healthcare validation, you have to understand the need. Then you have to validate what is the technical, the regulatory, and the business. If these 4 aspects are not covered within your ecosystem, then you will need to search for them. And for sure, the EIT Health is the best place where you can connect throughout Europe. Because in Europe, we have this challenge, which is we are fragmented. That's how we are. We are in Budapest. If we would be in Helsinki or Lisbon, different challenges. But at the same time, there's our strength. Because if you need to get know-how within the network, you will find. And that's the support you need. So I believe that in Europe, we need to be also, as ecosystems, think like startups, right? You have to, where are the resources I need and how can I connect and establish? And that's what we did in Coimbra. And sometimes even in small cities, it's hard to put people together and talk and align and have this strategic alignment. And for that, you have to have some compromises, right? Maybe I no longer do this because someone else is doing and I will focus on that. So that's maybe the learning for other ecosystems is understand where you are good, understand what you lack, and make the commitment to move from the next year or 2 years or 5 years plan so that you can give the support. Because in the end, we are talking to patients, we are talking to entrepreneurs. We need to give the best support they can, believing that this is a marathon. And to run a marathon, first you have to be prepared, and then you have to have support, someone to give you water along the way. So that's, I think, what we can do well in Coimbra. So any innovator, any entrepreneur can come to us, can come to the university, understand what is the path. And healthcare has this paradox, because it's probably, if you want to start a startup or a company, is where you can have the most impact, because if you build a great solution, it can have a global impact, but at the same time, it's probably the hardest journey, you know, because it's a long journey. So for that, and Bartolomeo is there on a boat, you need to prepare before you go to sea. So I think to have these institutions that will help you navigate, it will help you to put everything you need on the boat is really the key. And then, of course, entrepreneurs. They are the center of all these innovators, not only just entrepreneurs from startups, but also innovators from corporates. And have everyone on board, and with maybe Captain Bartolomeo or any other captain that throughout Europe you'll find many captains, and IT Health, of course, is a community that has a lot of these drivers, these captains, and we have to just strengthen it up.
And George Figueira, how a university can contribute to that? So I hear very often, you know, that we are a university, it's difficult to, you know, make the connection to business. So I think that's a kind of unique thing. You know, many universities are strong in science, even maybe, you know, in patents or publications. But what is the trick to commercialize that?
So, yeah, when I started the transfer and trying to set up an ecosystem, we already had the pieces of the infrastructure. So a very good incubator with a successful already, a good university with good research, a science park, and all the pieces of the puzzle are there. So to move beyond our performance, we just had to put them working together under the same vision and same strategy. And it was not easy. It's a marathon, as George said. So we did our own benchmark. So I studied Tel Aviv ecosystem, MIT, Berkeley, Campinas in Brazil, Singapore, to see benchmarks. Not only one benchmark, but I see who is the best in ignition grants. And I studied, so I think that's the next step for this study, is to go to one step further, to go into detail, says, okay, we have here a good performance in government support. What do they have? So gave some more details. The other one is external funding. What do they do? How can we get inspired so that we can go one step lower in the details to inspire other regions? And that's what we did. So we studied different ecosystems and tried to implement our own. And we reach a good maturity. What we are missing, the next step, let me shortly, I'm running out of time, two short stories that I saw when we were studying ecosystems. One, it was in Austin, Texas, and they set up a coalition between the IC Squared, the incubator there, very famous one, the mayor of Austin, and the University of Austin. So they decided, well, and they do this kind of surveys to all the community in Austin, says, how can we help you better? And they says, well, what we need the most now this year is to have a direct international flight to Europe. We don't have it. We have to go to Chicago or some other place. So they negotiate with the Southwest Airlines, and they managed to achieve it. So now there's a weekly flight to Paris, I guess, there. So and they work together on that sense, and they work together, for instance, to say what are the top 5 companies in the world that could come here and establish a branch in Austin. And they decide what are the top 5, and then they go there. The mayor, the rector, and the president of the incubator with the business plan. We want you to come to Austin. This is what we have to offer. And they can negotiate because they are decision makers. They can lower taxes, etc. The other experience that I saw that could be interesting, it was in EIT Health. It was Groningen. So I studied Groningen. I went to the hospital, says, well, we do this and this and this under the Groningen agreement. Okay. Then I went to the incubator, and we do this and this and this under the Groningen agreement. And the mayor, the same, the economic development department, we do this and this and this under the Groningen agreement. And I asked, okay, guys, what is the Groningen agreement? It says it's 1 page signed by the rector, the hospital director, the incubator, that they agree that they have lunch at least once a month together. And under the organic chart below them also have lunch at the same time. So the tech transfer office has lunch with the economic department of the municipality, and they meet. And there's no specific agenda, just what are you doing? How can we align what we are doing? And it's as simple as that. So, and that's, I think, where EIT Health can help us, and that's the step that we...
And these examples just show that you just have to prototype and execute whatever your community is strong at, and just execute it, because that's the lesson.
Thank you very much, and that was really, I think, a very good kind of closing of our discussion. So definitely the best practice is to having a lunch together. Yeah. I have learned that definitely. So thank you very much for coming, and definitely want to continue discussion. And thank you much for Lehel and Bartek as well being with us. And next time we should have a lunch together.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Must appreciate the Cunningham agreement.
So thank you again. I think it was a fantastic discussion, and this is the end of it. Unfortunately, you know, this 1 hour just behind us, and this is the end of the event. I would like to say a big thank you for being with us. Also for a very active participation. So I got very nice messages, and also we learned that, for instance, academia was very interested in. And thank you for everybody who has joined this call. And also, you know, there are many pools. I would like to have one that you agree with us that network is something that creates the biggest value. So we believe in it, and that's why we continue building network. I hope that we can work together with you in any shape and form. And we also hope that we can continue the work we have just started with study. Thank you very much, and you will hear about us. Thank you. Goodbye.